So welcome to the Sunday night broadcast, and please excuse the sound of the fan in the background, but it's about 35 degrees here right now. And I have an amazing device which I've made. It's basically a fan with a bottle of frozen water in front of it, so it's cool, blowing cool air. It's like a cheap air conditioning. Okay, before I start, below the video are some links to my website and one to my Facebook page. There's a link for private sessions. If you want to have a private session with me, you can go there, which is always really good. I really always enjoy the private sessions because a lot of detail has gone into. There's also my book, which you can get printed and on Kindle. And there's a donate page if you want to donate towards these talks. And that's it. Yeah, I was going to set up this like Google Hangout thing, but I haven't done it yet because I'm a space cadet. But I will get it together soon. And it's really hot. Yeah, so I'll probably do an intro first. I always say probably because I never know if there's going to be any words that come out of the mouth. And then after that, hi Keel. After that, I am open to questions in the live chat panel. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's hot. Okay, so let's see. So if there's a waiting for that one sentence which is going to do it, which is going to eventually make the penny drop or give that aha moment, nothing's going to happen because nothing really happens to anybody. That waiting for, and this is just a love of this subject, of course. You know, that can just be there as well. I'm not saying that can't be there. But often there's a waiting for that golden sentence which is going to make it all go right, and all the me will drop away. And what that waiting does is just cause more waiting. Because nothing is actually moving. This not moment, but it is, there's no words for it. This life is not moving. There's nothing for it to move towards. Anything that thinks it's going to move towards something is just a story. And there's that energetic propensity towards that story. Story of freedom, normally when we, in this subject, non-duality. If you want here to look for a new car or a new relationship or something, there's the search for freedom, because that sense of freedom is innately and profoundly sensed. It's sensed because it is the case. That's why it's sensed, because it is the reality. Freedom is the reality, and there can't be anything else. Freedom can't be not freedom. It can only appear as not free. It's just another part of it, another appearance in it. And what this is all, not underneath it, but within it and it itself, there is no thing in it. There's no thing. It's empty of a thing, of a something. So that's why freedom can never be found, because freedom is always looking for a something, and it steps over the actual freedom itself. But of course, even that is just an appearance. It's too free to even understand that. It's too free to grasp anything. Because grasping would just be another happening. Looking for freedom is just an appearance, it's just a happening. And there's nothing that can be done about that. No one can do anything about that sense of self dropping away. The sense of self drops away, not because the self has done anything, not because it's practiced or got a bit more still or lost any of its conditioning, or there's no precursor to their self dropping away. But there is always that possibility that there can be a dismantling of it, a kind of a picking away of it, exposing its illusory state, its illusory prison. But that the thing that is the prison can't do anything about that. It's a total experience called me. And within that experience, it can't be anything else but that. So what's sensing these words, what's being said, it's not the words themselves, the words are empty of meaning. But something senses the words, what's being said, what's being spoken of. And it can't know what's being spoken of, but it senses the freedom that is being spoken of. Because innately, it is the case. It's not known, because you can't know freedom, but it's known that there is something called freedom. There is freedom, it's just known that there is freedom. But what freedom is can't be known, because it's not a thing, it's not something. It's everything. Absolutely anything, everything. One total happening. One total happening. Not happening in time. Can't find the time. The time is just another construct of self. Say hi to a few people. Hi Boris, hi Joe, hi Prum, hi Sana. Thanks for coming. So when I'm speaking to you guys, I'm not speaking to the seeker. The seeker is redundant in this. It's a kind of a nuisance appearance. And often more than nuisance, often it's painful and desperate and feels trapped. There's a feeling of being trapped and not being able to escape from it. The one that's trying to escape is it itself. It's a totally enclosed illusion. So there's nothing that can be done by that illusion. Has all these preconceptions that if my mind is stiller, I will drop away or I will die. And it can't help but think that I will die. But no, they can't die because there is no one to die. This is another misconception, that I die. No, all there is an end of an illusory condition. illusory condition that thinks it's somebody living in time. It's just the end of that. Nothing dies. Nothing wakes up. It's the end of anything that can wake up. It's the end of anything that can become enlightened or free. It's just the end of that. And all those neurotic thoughts and things that are around that also fall away, as well as space and time. The story of the human continues in apparent space and time, because that's the way it operates. But it's not operating like that for anybody anymore. It's just going along on its own. It's amazing. Okay, well, I'm open to questions if anybody has any. There was a sense of this here before that illusory construct was no longer apparent, no longer happening. I used to do this thing where I used to drive down the M23 from Brighton onto the M25. At the top of the hill, I could see down all the way down to the turnoff of the M25. And I used to think, well, apparently I'm going to be there in a few minutes. I'll be over there. And then I'd get there, and it'd be so clear, well, I never actually got anywhere. I never actually arrived. Because it's still the same. Fans blowing my hair about. And it was still the same. And there was something that would go, yeah, it's still the same. So those thoughts were just were illusory in some way. Apparently, the car arrived at the junction, but nothing had actually moved. And it was so clear in those moments, like nothing's moved. Like we were here last week. Apparently we were here last week. That is true and not true. But nothing has moved. There's a bunch of memories that possibly, if you've got a memory like mine, there might not be that many memories, of the week in between. But nothing has moved. Nothing's changed. There might be different appearances. You might be wearing a different shirt or something, sitting in a different place. But it's still what is. It's still this. It never moved. It just appeared and disappeared, different forms, different colors, feelings, sensations. Just keeps emerging and emerging and emerging and going and coming and going and coming. But what it's emerging and disappearing in never moves. It's appearing and disappearing in nothing. It is the nothing, appearing and disappearing all the time, without any rhyme or reason, no outcome, no goal. Hi, Gary. Yeah, I'm well today. Just a bit hot. I'm a Brit. It takes a while for us Brits to acclimatise to about 36 degrees today, I think. And the temperature's going to go up as well. Yeah, but yeah, I'm well. I'm well. So we always feel like we're moving towards something. Eventually something will happen. Eventually I'll get there. Yeah, but it's hot over there in the UK, if that's where you are. So this idea that I'm going to get somewhere is totally a fantasy. There's no right or wrong in that, because it can't be any other way. What happens as a me appearing to go somewhere, be someone, cannot be any other way. It is as it is. It is life being that. But it is also illusory. No one ever arrives anywhere. I mean, if you look at it now, if you look at it like, where have I arrived? And if you look at it really closely, you'll see that nothing's ever arrived. Nothing's ever left. Sometimes people say, yes, it's always been awareness. I've always been here. No, I've always been here as a constant in this appearance. But it's not the sense of awareness, which is the freedom. In fact, that's a kind of a trap, because it never lasts. I've never been anywhere where that lasts. Never. People always struggle with it, trying to maintain this awareness. Sorry, I always forget to turn this off. I'm trying to describe this life. It can only be described as things. It can't be touched. It can't be known where it comes from, where it's going, because it's not going anywhere, it's not coming from anything. It's just so instant, it's just so immediate. Hi, Lee. If the me is illusory, it is only a misperception of the mind. Oh. Here we go. Making my chat box bigger. Not so much the mind. I think it's more like this sense of identity that believes it's someone moving in time, which can also not just be the mind. It can also be emotional or energetic. It's the illusion that I am somebody moving in time, and that's who I am. That's illusory. And in a sense, it can be a misperception of the mind, but really, I think it's more like the very energetic, contracted sense of identity. Thank you. I kind of have trouble with this as a constant in which everything comes and goes. It's like two different movements. Yeah, because it can't really be described. These are kind of vain attempts and metaphors to it's like it's not moving in time, you see, but the movements keep changing, don't they? The images, the colors and the shapes and the forms are constantly changing, but not to anywhere. It's more like God, I wish I could find a description for that. Like a I described last night like a GIF. You know those GIFs where they have the constant movement? And you have those ones which are like sometimes they're lotuses, aren't they? Or sometimes they're like really kind of trippy. It's like it's like that as an eternal moment, an eternal this that just keeps changing. It's not going anywhere. It's not actually moving towards anything. It's just unfolding. It's just blossoming, 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 but without actually moving. It's so impossible. And yet so obvious. Yeah, well, don't look for the right words. Don't look for the right words. The words are irrelevant. All the speakers can do is always speak in a kind of metaphor, because the words are things, you see, they're things. And it's not in the words, it's not in anything. You can kind of get stuck there. It's the words are coming out of nothing. Synchronizador. Hi. What is love? Well, oh no, it's just like, it's a very used word. Well, there's the human love, isn't there? There's the love for somebody, which is also indescribable. You can describe it as thing, but the feeling itself is very, very specific. But I would say that what is all this appearance is love. It's a giving from nothing, and not giving anything, but giving everything. So many contradictions. That's why it's impossible to use words, you see. The words are not the thing. Lee, but if it's only illusory, how can I have substantial energetic place? Is that a side effect of misunderstanding? But if it's only, how can I have a substantial energetic place? Well, that's how it appears. It appears as a substantial energetic place called me. That's how it appears. What's illusory is that it is you, and it is moving in time, and will have an outcome, and is going to die, and was born. That's the illusory part. The actual appearance of it is very apparent. Joe, so it's okay to say I don't know what it is. Yeah, well, I can't know what it is, because I am just an appearance. There is no it to know what it is. There is no I to know what it is, and there isn't anything to know. Knowing would just be another appearance happening. Hi, Gary. Love feels like acceptance to me, without condition, without anyone to accept anything. Well, this what is beyond acceptance. It just is. It doesn't need acceptance or non-acceptance. It can't help but being anything but what it is. And it's utterly, utterly beautiful. And it is indeed without condition. How would it have condition? There is no it to have condition. It just is what it is. Yeah, without anyone to accept anything. Yeah. Synchronizador. Is love what apparently happens? Yes. Yes, love can come, love can go. Or there can be like that, especially like as a parent, there's that love there for the child. But that's a survival thing, isn't it, that love, usually? To survive, keep the child to survive, keep the child living. It's a love. Oof, parental love is very, very strong. And then there's falling in love with somebody, which is very strong as well. Hi, Major. When you say you are not talking to any me's, I end up conceptualizing some other thing that you were talking to. Yeah, there is just talking. There is just hearing. And it is the same thing. It is the same appearance. The sounds and the hearing and the space and the computer and everything that appears, thoughts, feelings, are all the same thing. It's all the same thing without being a thing. Yeah. Well, you know, what happens is the me can really easily make concepts out of what's being said. That's what it does. That's all it can do. It can only turn something into something. It can't hear or see what's being spoken of, and it never will. Synchronized, or is there something really happening? There's something really happening. Well, there's just what is. There's just what is. I wouldn't call that real or unreal. It's beyond that. I mean, it's just those words. To say that this is real or unreal, to say it's real has no meaning. To say it's unreal has no meaning. It's totally beyond both of those things. Utterly ungraspable. Is there something really happening? Well, no. And yes. Yeah. Can't get it. Can't get it. There's no it to get. It is everything. Black hole, says Joe. I don't know. I don't know anything. There is only everything. And that's utterly obvious and clear. And it's so clear that it's amazing how me misses it. But it can't help that, because that's its function. That's its. Pink can only be pink. The me can only be a me. The me can't be a not me. Yeah, it can't do anything about it. It's an appearance that can't change itself in that way. In fact, no appearance can change itself, because it's not itself. It's so alive, just alive. But it hasn't got anybody who is alive in it. There's no omnipresent somebody who is the aliveness. Lee, is there some kind of center to your experience? No. No, no, there's no experience. Experience ended. Obviously there's looking out of the eyes, but that's just as much as happening as the light from the screen. I know it's entirely impossible to comprehend that. I mean, when there was that kind of, that dream of Lisa being here, that would have been impossible to envisage. The me can only imagine itself from a point of view. Here, one more try. The coming out of nothing is also nothing. So we're still movement, not really a movement. Oh, okay, it's so impossible to describe. It just is. It just is. I mean, I make vain attempts. It's not anything. It's not anything. In reality, there's no coming or going. I just use descriptions. But none of it's true. None of the descriptions are true, because nothing's true. There isn't anything. That can be spoken of. There is movement, but it's not moving. There is nothing, and yet there is everything. It can't be pinned down to words. It just can't. I mean, speakers try to make descriptions, which is great fun. Useless. But it comes out of just there's a kind of beauty. There's like a love. It's just a love for it. Just a love. So metaphors get used, but don't take any of them seriously. None of them are true. Not one single thing that is spoken in the words themselves are true. There's nothing that's true. There's only what is. And that's not true. Boris, love the message. Yeah, thanks, Boris. Me too. Love it, love it. Just, great. Beautiful. Synchronized dawn. What is experience? Well, you could say that the mouth is experiencing water. Is it? Is it experiencing the water? Or is there just water in the mouth? I think experience is more of a kind of a self thing, because it thinks I'm experiencing the water. I'm experiencing my hair being annoying in my face. I'm experiencing it. But no, there's no experience. There's just hair in the face, water in the mouth, blah, blah, blah coming out of the mouth. Everything's included. Yeah, Joe. Gary, mind loves neat formulas. It really does. It really does. But nothing that is said by speakers is it. Is it. If you say no thing, it's meaningless. If you say something, it's meaningless. If you say everything, it's meaningless. It's meaningless to me. To the sense of me, all those words are utterly meaningless. So it tries to get hold of any of the words it hears. Tries to wrap them up, as you say, into neat formulas. Now, these words are right, these words are wrong. None of them are right. None of them. And yet it's spoken of. It's spoken. But it's not in the words. It's this. It's this. What is? You know, and lots of people like to make it into poetry, metaphors, trying to describe its elegance and its magnificence by saying it's coming and going, it's this and that, but none of that is true. It's just an expression. Latching onto formulas and words is a complete waste of time. And also what is happening. Hayley, so your arm is no more important to you than the sofa? Your arm is no more important to you than the sofa. Sorry, my mind can't get around that. If I had a choice between having my arm and the sofa, I'd have the arm. Unless you're one of those like amputee freaks where you'd like rather than have another arm and not have your arm. But in as everything appearing, no. Only important in the sense of what would be more comfortable as a human, to have an arm or a couch? But as in this, the appearance of an arm and a sofa are really no different. No. So in that sense, neither are one or more important. Nothing is important. There's nothing that's important. There's nothing that's more important than another thing, unless it's in the human expression. And that's in the story of the human, but in reality, that's just the story of the human. And that doesn't have any importance either, in the end. Hi, Josie. Gary, time of liberating to know that everything we say is bullshit. Yeah! Everything that's been said here is bullshit too. Bullshit. Yeah. The words are not important. Blah, 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 blah. But there is a beauty. Oh, what's that? It's my ice falling over. There is a beauty. There is a beauty to it, and it's that's why people speak, because it's just so wonderful, so wonderful. And here there also is a propensity to be poetic and use metaphors, and I write quite a lot of that, and I don't publish it because, well, I just don't publish it. Maybe I will at some point. Because also I think one of the reasons I don't publish it is because it will be turned into something. The pure love and beauty that is being expressed will be overlooked by looking to solidify meanings. And no meaning can be, there's no meaning in what is, there's no meaning, there's only meaning in the human story. Making so, yeah, of course it is, yeah. You know, I like to debate, it's like everybody else, about, you know, politics to a degree, stuff like that. Metaphysics, I love talking about metaphysics. It's mystery, the mystery. But in this subject, non-duality, making something out of nothing, it totally steps over the reality. You can't make anything out of what is. You just can't. Well, you can, but then it's just another thing. It's just a thing. You can't. Oh, it's too wild. Too utterly wild. When you think of all the books that have been written, philosophies, philosophizing, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh my God, I used to love philosophy years ago, devour that stuff. All trying to make meaning out of what is, and totally missing the magic, the utter magic of that there is this, which is the mystery. Hi, Ron. Oh, thank you. He says, thanks for sharing the unshareable. Yeah, the sharing is it. The listening to it is it. The everything is it. It's it. But it's no it to it, because it's ungraspable. And yes, it is utterly unshareable. But the attempt is great. Like, some speakers love to write poetry and write some beautiful poetry. Rebecca has written some beautiful poetry, and Ella May has written some beautiful poetry. Beautiful. You can't pin it down to anything. just comes out of nothing. Like everything's just coming out of no thing. It is no thing. Beautiful. There's no one here to suffer any longer when there's no one to claim the apparent individual. This is the answer to everything. I can hardly contain it. There's no one to suffer any longer, and there's no one to claim the apparent individual. This is the answer to everything. Yeah. There is a way to share this and with others when they seem to be suffering. How can a seed planted for this knowledge when they aren't a seeker? I don't know. I don't bother. I don't speak to anybody about this. Except for places like this where it's people just come of their own accord. Keel. Most speakers are crap though, sorry. Well, I don't know, there's some pretty good speakers around. Tony? Love Tony. Some great speakers about. There are some speakers who I would say that are who speak in the story. Yeah. That's okay, not my thing. But that's so unimportant. Who cares, really? Yeah. Yeah, there are a few great speakers. I mean, Jim Newman, he's a great speaker. Thanks for that, Joe. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking, if there's talking in a story about how you can get to freedom, how you become enlightened, then yeah, that's I would say that's not true. That's seen here is not true. No one gets enlightened. There is no one. There is no one. This one that calls myself someone is not a spirit. It's not a soul. Sorry for all those soul fans out there. It's a construct. It's a construct. Josie, I like Tony too. Listen to him. Listen to Jim Young recently. I like him too. Yeah, great, really great. And there are some speakers who do speak in the story. That I wouldn't call that non-duality. I would call that therapy. I would. Sorry, story speakers, but to me that's therapy. That's about something going somewhere and someone getting something, which is fine as therapy. But non-duality, no. Because there isn't anywhere to go. There's nothing moving. It never moves. Like I was saying the story about the car here going there, and it feeling like I'm going to get there. When I get there, nothing ever moved. Nothing moved. Gary, there was 3-volume set written on Papaji called Nothing Ever Happened. 3 volumes, lol. 3 volumes. Can't imagine what was written. Nothing ever happened. What can you say about nothing ever happened? I would say really, I prefer nothing's moving. Because in this appearance, it seemed like something happened, but nothing never moved. Never moved. Yeah. It kind of apparently has and has not happened. It's beyond the mind, that. Beyond it. Masters, that's the thing I'm not into. I'm not into masters. I went through a little phase of it, but that can be a trap. I mean, that's okay. If that's, what's happening, that's what's happening, but there's no freedom found in masters. Because everything is freedom. Master and the devotee, master, devotee, let's remember that, are the same appearance. So neither one can find freedom or is free. Neither one. No master is free because there isn't anyone to be free. There's no personal enlightenment. So this master stuff, it's just a carrot on a stick, keeping the donkey chasing it. Ultimately, there is no wrong or right in this appearance because it is everything. It's unconditional. It is as it is. It appears as it appears. Utterly alive, utterly alive, utterly free. Lee, apart from the body-mind stuff, is there a difference between you and me? No you and me. No, there is no you and me, Lee. There's only this. There's nobody in it. There's only the appearance of somebody in it when it appears. There's no difference between anything at all. It's all made from the same aliveness. Scientists say, don't they, that it's all made of light. But there's actually no solidity to anything at all. And in a sense, as a metaphor, that is true. Pavana. There is no one there to begin with. That's right. There's no one there to begin with. This is the appearance that happens in the body early in life. It just appears like a tooth. So if it can pull the tooth out, can't pull the self out. Yeah, Lee, there's no you and me. Even when we sat in that cafe that day, remember? Having tea? It was just sitting in the cafe next to each other, drinking tea. There was no you and me. It's just what was happening. So simple. The me, the idea there's a me and a you, is just a kind of belief that comes out of contracted sense of self. Yeah, Pavana. Beautiful. It is. This is no you and me in brackets, question mark. It's no anything. There's no anything which is solid. There's nothing. Nothing. Just this. Indescribable and graspable. This. Aliveness. All questions ended. That's good. Pavane, which makes it magnificent, its unknown, indescribable beauty. Yeah, absolutely magnificent. If the mind could be blown, it would blow the mind. Utterly blow the mind. It just totally is utter freefall. There's nothing that can be touched. And that's that in itself is magnificent. The beauty of life is magnificent. Yeah, and yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's so beautiful. Yeah, and sometimes, you know, I speak with other speakers and we just have to laugh. Because it's like or you know, not just speakers, like people like yourself, you know, we talk and it's just like, wow, yeah, but you can't say what the yeah is, you can't say what it is, it's just okay, well, if no one's got any more questions, I shall go, and I may do another of my sunset talks in the week, which I really love because it's so... Thanks, Josie. Thanks, Lee. Oh, there's a question. Ada, why is it sometimes so simple to see and sometimes not? Because it just comes and goes. If there's a sense of self comes up, it won't be able. It's just not there. Time, the illusion of time, and something comes back in. And when that's not there, it's just like, oh yeah, it's obvious. Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Keel. Josie. Thanks, Joe. Gary. Ada. Everybody. Sorry if I mentioned your name. Thanks for joining me. Great questions as usual. And I'll see you all hopefully soon. Lots of love. Bye.